Welcome everyone to tonight's ATL is Epic event. We're so glad to see you, and we are going to wait just a couple seconds here to make sure people get online and are situated and ready to go. Welcome everyone to tonight's ATL is Epic event. Sorry for the double sound there. All right, well, we are actually waiting for Georgia Tech to join us. They should be here any second, but I'm delighted to have some special guests with me. My name is Gloria. I am one of the co-founders of Initial View. We're a video platform that's part of the college admissions process and enables students to kind of have a platform to tell people about themselves, to get to know themselves, to start conversations. And we are all about having conversations with college counselors, with admissions officers, with students, with families. So we're delighted that you've joined us tonight. I know it's a very busy time for many of you, and so I am really, really grateful for you all taking time out of your busy schedule to meet us. We want to talk about Atlanta tonight. And so I am really grateful to Georgia State, Georgia Tech, Oglethorpe, Spelman for spending time with us tonight. We want to answer questions. We're going to tell you a little bit about our institutions. We're going to talk a little bit about the city of Atlanta, but we also want to be here to answer questions. So right away, I'm going to tell you, if you already know you have some questions about either institutions, Atlanta, or just the college search process itself, go ahead and type into the Q&A box so that we can kind of see what your thoughts are on what you want to know about, and that way we can fold that into our conversation. So great. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and share my screen, and just bear with me 1 second. All right, and I have been told that Georgia Tech is having trouble getting into the webinar, so I'm going to go ahead and help them get in. And while we're doing that, maybe we can have each of you introduce yourselves really quickly. Romina, do you want to start?
Sure. And thank you, Gloria, for putting this event together. Good evening, everyone. My name is Romina Torres. I am the Director of Undergraduate Admissions at Georgia State University. And remind me, should I just keep going about Georgia State or the next? Okay, all right. So Georgia State, located in downtown Atlanta, and that's the focus of today's event, just for you guys to learn more about different universities that are located within the metro area. Some things about Georgia State. We are right there in downtown where all the excitement is happening in Atlanta. There is not a day that you don't see a movie set, right, happening. Even outside my office, I can see when they're filming a new movie, students get to participate, especially those that are interested in film major. If you are interested in government, you have the Georgia Capitol blocks away. If you want to do research, you have Grady Hospital, Emory Hospital, especially if you want in the health fields. Or if you are passionate about nonprofit organizations, about social entrepreneurship, we have many nonprofit organizations, again, within blocks or within the same campus, Georgia State, because downtown is our campus. Some of the rankings that you see some information about Georgia State, and we're one of the fastest growing universities, research universities in the US, very diverse, which is a great representation of what Atlanta is becoming. So I've been in Georgia for 22 years, and I can tell you that I wish I was 18 again, so I can have all the fun that you can see now in Atlanta. It has changed so much from when I first moved. So definitely a great place to be in the city of Atlanta. So I'll go listen to the next person.
Okay, that's me. Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly Butler. I'm the Director of Admission at Oglethorpe University here in Atlanta as well, of course. We are located in the Brookhaven neighborhood of Atlanta, which is next to Buckhead. It's a fantastic spot. You can see our campus. Here's one of our buildings, Lupton Hall. Is absolutely gorgeous. We get Hogwarts comparisons every day, and we're in the middle of everything, but Brookhaven is a little bit quieter. So if you're a little bit looking more for that traditional closed campus vibe, a little bit more old school, that's definitely what you get with Oglethorpe, but we're still just steps away from everything that you could need to have a fantastic college experience. We have a ton of great academic programs, and we also have the ability for our students to apply to do a custom individually planned major or IPM. So you can even customize as far as your own individual unique major, which is really cool. That's really what we're going for in everything that we do at Oglethorpe. We are a small university, just under 1,500 students. So everything you get is going to be super personalized, super customized, and have a super close community feel. If you want to be somebody who is known around campus, able to hold leadership roles, get involved, you are going to be able to do that from day one at Oglethorpe. We have a small, engaging campus community, great faculty. Our faculty to student ratio is very low. Our average class size is about 17 students. So right away, you're going to be able to stand out, speak up, make your voice heard, and make a difference on our campus. Whatever it is you're interested in doing, whether it's Greek life, sports, awesome clubs, you're going to be able to find it at Oglethorpe. And we are consistently on the list of most diverse colleges in Atlanta, which is amazing because, as already mentioned, that really reflects the city of Atlanta, which is such a diverse, thriving, growing city that we are so proud to be a part of. So we would love to have you put Oglethorpe on your list of schools, at least come for a visit. We'd love to show you around and show you what it is that we have to offer. We think it could be a great home for you. And I'll go ahead and pass it off to the next person.
Perfect. So good evening, everyone. My name is Nayada Schuler, and I serve as an assistant director of admissions at Spelman College, as well as the admissions counselor for students from the state of Georgia. So all prospective students from Georgia. And then just another fun fact, I serve as our social media manager for the Office of Admissions. So overall, I want to just highlight just some of the information that you see in front of you about Spelman College as well. So of course, Spelman College, we are located in Atlanta as well, about 5 to 7 minutes away from downtown Atlanta. So we are a small, private, liberal arts, all women's HBCU. We are also situated in a community of colleges known as the Atlanta University Center, or the AUC. And so students have access to Morehouse College, Clark Atlanta University, some of the academic programs there, events, activities, but also with us being in Atlanta as a part of the ARCH program, students can also cross-register and take courses at other Atlanta area colleges and universities as well. So I know we'll have an opportunity to discuss in more detail about our location and how that enhances the student experience. But I do want to note that our students study beyond the classroom, and many of those internships, research opportunities as well, networking opportunities, conferences happen within the city of Atlanta. So academic programs, we offer about 34 majors and minors. Again, there are cross-registration opportunities. We are an undergraduate institution. However, students have access to pre-medical tracks as well. They have access to strategic partnerships and early assurance and early admittance programs with graduate and professional schools. In addition, students have access to a dual degree engineering program, as well as our dual degree nursing program. And so through those programs in particular, students can actually take courses at Emory University, for example, as a part of our dual degree nursing program. Also for the dual degree engineering program, students are able to complete 2 years at Georgia Tech and about 16 other colleges and universities as well. So some unique features about Spelman: we have been ranked as the #1 HBCU for 15 years in a row. As I mentioned, we are a part of the Atlanta University Consortium. About 80% of our students study abroad, so they participate in global abroad programs. And while we are a liberal arts institution, we are very well known for STEM at Spelman. And so we are the #1 producer of Black women who complete PhDs in STEM. So when we think about the Spelman experience and ultimately what our students have access to, we like to note that our students who apply to Spelman, who ultimately attend Spelman, are students that are ready to aim high, to dream big, to go beyond their potential or the potential that they had in mind for themselves, and to really move beyond any self-doubts. And so we have a very well-rounded experience to offer our students. And with you being students within the city of Atlanta and surrounding areas as well, we would hope that you would consider Spelman on your college list. So again, my name is Miss Nayada Schuler, and I will be answering questions you have, but I also look forward to chatting a little more.
Wonderful. And we're so glad Georgia Tech is here. Larry, take it away. Oh, Larry, we can't hear you. Hold on, Larry. We can't hear you.
Technology is not on our side tonight, right? In Georgia Tech. Well, good evening. My name is Letty Argueta, but y'all can call me Larry. I am the Senior Assistant Director for Diversity Initiatives for the Office of Undergraduate Admission. I am so happy and thrilled to be here tonight to kind of share a little bit about the good word of Georgia Tech. So nestled in Midtown and West Midtown, you can find our thriving campus. Our biggest thing and what we try to push for students and what the students that we're looking for here at Georgia Tech are leaders to be able to push our model of progress and service. So being able to advance technology and to be able to improve the human condition through some of our various different programs and degrees that we offer here at Georgia Tech. So we are a school of 36 majors, which makes us very unique. So unlike some of our competitors in this kind of STEAM, I guess you can say competition or universities or institutions, we're really prideful in the 36 majors that we offer. We are also one of the biggest schools that we offer for applied research, and also one of the #7 schools for co-ops and internships. So you can definitely guarantee that here at Georgia Tech, what you will be learning inside the classroom, you will also be applying it and being able to take it outside the classroom as well. So we do a holistic application review. So that's something, if y'all have questions about, please let us know, because we take so many other factors into consideration when we're considering admission. So happy to be here tonight and looking forward to the conversation this evening.
Fantastic. So I am going to unshare the slides because I want to see your wonderful faces. And I want to start off because, we're calling this session ATL as an epic. And so I wanted to ask each of you to kind of share a little bit, maybe share 3 points about Atlanta specifically that you think are epic or awesome in light of studying here as a college student. So yeah, let's see, Kelly, do you want to start us off?
Sure, I would be happy to. So as background, I have lived in Atlanta for 20 years. So it has been a long time, and it is a fantastic city. You guys know that. You live here as well. But I think there's probably going to be a good bit of overlap. I'll kick us off, though. Everybody has mentioned, not everybody, most people have mentioned internships already, and I will take that to career opportunities as well. People don't kind of give Atlanta the credit it should be due in terms of the opportunities that are here. So for example, we're the 3rd highest hub for Fortune 500 company headquarters in the country. So if you're thinking of doing, business major, business internship, for example, there's tons here, common household names of Coca-Cola, Porsche North America has their headquarters here, all kinds of Home Depot, incredible opportunities that are just right here in our backyard. The same is true for the arts, for example. So museums per capita, I think Atlanta might be #1 for that one. So if you're interested in the arts, amazing opportunities to get involved with internships or part-time work or full-time work after you graduate. So that is a huge, huge plus for Atlanta residents and those who go to school in Atlanta. That should not be overlooked at all. It is a beautiful city. I will say that. I've been to a lot of different cities, and there's something so green about Atlanta that you don't find everywhere else. So if you're somebody who enjoys city life, but also still enjoys being in nature, I think that is something that is so key for wellness, your well being while you're in college. There's a lot going on. Obviously, you guys already have so much going on in your lives now, and that continues in college. So if you're somebody who wants to get outside and be outside, stay active, go with your friends to the park or go bike riding or running. That's something that is super available in our city. So, at Oglethorpe, you can just walk right outside the gates and go for an awesome jog. And that's something that's really wonderful. And our neighborhood of Brookhaven, for example, is rated the safest neighborhood in Atlanta 4 or 5 years in a row. So it's a great spot to be in. And then also from just like my own personal fun standpoint, it's a great sports city. I think Atlanta has a lot going on if you are interested in sports. Obviously, Braves just won the World Series. We've got Atlanta United, who is on fire. Falcons, I love them. They're having challenges, but still you can go to a Falcons game and it's a lot of fun. So that's true of a lot of different things, though. There's so much culture and fun stuff going on, whether it's sports, whether it's concerts, whatever it is you're interested in, that you just might not find if you're doing more small town life or more of a college town environment. Those things have awesome upsides as well, great advantages. But Atlanta really kills it in terms of so much fun things to do. So those would be my 3 things, and I'm happy to pass it off to someone else.
All right, Larry, do you want to take?
Definitely. So I'm going to add, and I'm not saying this because diversity is within my title, but I think just the overall growing diversity of the city of Atlanta. I mean, you go to school here, and no matter what school you go to here in Atlanta, you will be able to be exposed to students from different walks of life, right? And I used to live right on Beaufort Highway, so I can tell you, like, the food is just another thing as well. It's another top 2 reason. So you'll have the cultural diversity. The food is amazing anywhere you go. But, also building off to one of the things that I mentioned about Georgia Tech, about co-ops and internships, nestled right here as well in Atlanta is Tech Square, where you have the intersectionality of businesses and startups and technology, and it's just meeting with our students. So there's just plenty of opportunities to be able to take what you're learning in the classroom to find internships in the heart of Atlanta and help, move the needle forward for some of the most advances of like startups, technologies. I mean, our students are just solving some of the world's biggest issues. So those will be my big three things. And I can pass it on to someone else.
Nayara, would you like to go?
Yeah, so obviously I had a list of things that have, many of which have already been discussed, but that's okay. So I will add, and I think this ultimately, in saying this, I want to note for our high school students or any parents or members of their village that are participating, that you may think that Atlanta, maybe you've lived here since you were born, or maybe you've been here for quite some time, but remember that experiencing Atlanta as a college student will look and feel different. Yeah. So again, Atlanta is a college town. I mentioned a little bit in my introduction of some of the ways in which our students can cross-register and take courses at other colleges and universities within the city of Atlanta and surrounding areas. And so just note that Atlanta is home to the largest concentration of colleges and universities in the Southern United States. And so that in and of itself can enhance your experience as a student. We're a college town. And so what that means is that you are going to meet friends and build relationships with other peers on your college campus, but then you can go to Georgia State, Georgia Tech, for example, Oglethorpe, and make connections and meet friends there as well. So Atlanta is a college town. Also, the vibrant art and culture scene. I often talk to students about some of their experiences, even beyond our campus, beyond the classroom. Again, as our social media manager, I get a chance to see some of their excursions beyond our campus. And so to have access to such a vibrant art and culture scene, a city that is known for its entertainment as well, that not only adds to your experience as a student, but it can ultimately enhance that experience. So it's not uncommon for students to make TikToks, for example, or Instagram reels about their night out at a basketball game. Or I had a student who made a TikTok about ways to treat yourself in Atlanta as a college student on a budget. So the vibrant art and culture scene for sure. And then I do want to reiterate what my colleague Kelly mentioned, and that there are lots of global opportunities in the city of Atlanta. You have access to Fortune 500 companies, social justice organizations with a global reach. And so again, the college experience is not just about what you learn in the classroom, it is about your personal development as well. So to be in a city where you have access to explore, to enhance your global awareness, that adds to your college experience.
Fantastic. Well, Romina, did we leave anything for you?
I don't think so. How to build this? I think they did a great job. I was like, well, let's do that. Okay, let's do that. I will probably add the music. Atlanta is home for so many music festivals and film festivals. So again, you don't have to travel to go to explore or to have all these activities outside Atlanta. So many opportunities, again, from the career perspective, students being able to just do internships and pull up close to their school, close to the college where they want to attend. And great opportunities. So one of my favorite stories from Georgia State is one of my tour guides was at Broad Street, which is a very famous street close to downtown for different restaurants and tennis shops, pizza shop, etc. And he was in line at Jersey Mike's. He wanted to get a sandwich for lunch, and behind him, he started connecting with a CEO of a company. At the end of that line, he got the business card and he got his first internship, actual science student. Again, that was one of the most epic stories, that you can be in a sandwich shop and still find a great internship during your college career. So definitely a lot of opportunities. Students, they don't have to relocate. And I will say a lot of the colleges in Atlanta are still very affordable compared to other states. So just keep that in mind. I'm an public institution, but just overall, they're still very affordable compared to other cities.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I have, part of, I think some of the students on this call or families on this call are thinking, are in that phase of college search. And location is obviously one of the ones, and that's what we're kind of focusing on today. But even amongst the four of you, you are very different institutions. So I wanted to ask, even within the city of Atlanta, you guys have a different vibe. And so I wanted to ask, is there something like, where would you direct a family to kind of look to see, in addition to just, I love Atlanta, because the music, the art, the food, what else is a good thing for them to be considering when they think about fit?
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Larry.
I think just to build off on the last thing, especially about, financial aid, right? The state of Georgia provides students, resident students here in the state, Hope and Zell Miller, right? So when you're looking at institutions, you might get packages, or you might be looking at some schools that are out of state, and they might seem very tempting and enticing, right? But always keeping in mind that if you keep it local, being in Atlanta and picking one of our schools, you will also be able to benefit and bring down that cost of tuition, because while you might get a letter that says, a school out of state might offer you X amount of funding, when you stay local, you're able to bring down the cost of like transportation, housing. You're able to also cover like meal plans, and then tuition alone, you'll be paying as in-state tuition. So I think that's one of the things to always, like, when you're looking at colleges, especially if you're looking in Atlanta, keep that in the forefront, if you begin that college search, because that is a benefit, because not many states offer like Hope and Zell. So that would be my first thing to kick it off.
Yeah, great. So financial, ability to pay is obviously something to consider in fit. What else?
I would say size. as well. As you mentioned, Gloria, we are very distinct institutions here in the panel. So you have a large university like Georgia State with over 50,000 students, and then you may have a smaller liberal arts college. So I will say that's definitely part of the research process. What is the right fit for the student? Do they want to be in a large university or a smaller? Do they want a traditional campus or an open campus as well? And I think that's where campus visits are important, and being exposed to the different type of colleges, also the different majors that they offer. One of the recommendations I usually give to students and parents in the college search process is create an Excel, start an Excel, a list of schools that you are interested in or that you may be interested in, and then start doing the research and then narrow down which one you want to visit, and then narrow down where their admissions process, what scholarship they offer. And you may start from a 20 list of school, then down to 10 and 5, etc. But I think I'm going to quote actually Larry's boss, because I love the way he presented Rick Clark. So he usually says is when you find your college, it's almost like dating. You're going to marry that person. So you have to find the right fit, right? You have to like it. And that's why it's so important to visit, because it's not only about looking at the website and looking at the pretty pictures, because all the schools are going to look very pretty on their website and their best images, but it's going to the campus and finding yourself. And you'll be surprised as well, where you may not think that that school is the right fit for you, but once you visit them, you fall in love and you say, I want to be here. This is where I want to spend my next 4 or 5 years, or when I get my bachelor's degree. So
I would say also, the classroom environment is different from school to school. You may have this picture in your mind of what college classes are like, but they're not the same everywhere. And they all have good things about them, but it's more how you learn, how you might feel comfortable in a different type of environment. Different schools may offer class visits. So that might be something that you can arrange to actually sit in on a real class and, say, can I see myself here? So, do you think of that lecture hall with like the prestigious rows and the professor down at the front giving you this incredible lecture? Or do you think of more students in a circle, the professor in the middle? It's more of a discussion. Like, what do you kind of picture, and what do you see yourself being most successful in terms of, absorbing material, participating, being able to really take in that information and take it with you for the rest of your life? How do you learn the best? So that's another piece that I think is important. It is often related to size. It is often related to the type of university. Is it a research one university? Is it a liberal arts college? If we're saying these terms and you have absolutely no idea what we're even talking about, also, don't worry. I absolutely did not know what these things meant when I was in high school. And that's something that we can clarify for you. It's something that your high school counselor can also help clarify. Google search can help with as well. So any of this, if it feels intimidating, please, don't hesitate to ask questions. We're happy to help. But all of these things make colleges different and give them their own unique style and their own unique environment. And, again, just seeing the website or hearing the reputation of something may lead you to believe it's a good spot for you. But I think only experiencing it, as Romina was mentioning, is kind of the only way to know for sure that it is going to be a good fit. So visit, if you can do a class visit, if you can talk to a current student, whatever you feel like you can do to get the true impression of what the college is like is going to be the best way to ultimately make your decision once you start narrowing down your list.
And I'll just add as well, for me, when you think of fit, I often encourage students to think of campus culture. That is important when you're assessing fit. But also, I typically encourage students to think about how you visualize your ideal college experience. So we know that many students lead their search with, of course, cost of attendance, financial resources available, maybe their academic interests, so majors, minors, but also think about what you visualize yourself doing outside of the classroom. What are some of the organizations and activities you're involved in high school that you want to continue at the collegiate level? Whether that's student government or you are someone who really enjoys serving others and participating in community service. So maybe you want to look at colleges or universities that really promote community service as a part of their campus culture or curriculum. But if you have not had the opportunity already, make a list of some of the factors that you consider to be a part of your ideal college experience, and then how that will show up in the college setting through organizations, conferences, out of the classroom experiences. And that can help you with assessing fit and ultimately finding the best fit for you.
And I will say, you all have mentioned visiting, and the benefit of Atlanta and being in Atlanta is that it's not hard to visit, whereas it's a little bit harder to visit an out-of-state school, and you have to do a lot of planning for that. But when we think about, because I know I've heard students say, well, I've driven by, such and such school. You're not getting a real sense of the school if you're just driving by. So what are some like must-dos when you do visit a college? Like if you just go to the middle of the place and take a picture of the lawn, maybe that's not an exact thing that you want to get out of it. So what are some of the must-dos on your college visits, for example?
I'll start. So I'll say number one, eat in the dining hall. I get questions all the time about how good the food is, how would I rate the food on a scale of 1 to 10. We all have different taste buds. My favorite food may not be your favorite food. So definitely eat in the dining hall. Also, I always suggest that students try to take in the academic building that may house their future academic interests. So if you are a biology major or a prospective health science major, visit our science center and really get a sense of the building that you may call your academic home during your time at Spelman. So I'm going to stop there because there are other things I can say, but I want to save that for everyone else. But eat in the dining hall, taste the food if you can, and then visit your academic building for your prospective academic interests.
I would, well, definitely go on a real, like a official tour. I mean, obviously, depending on the school, you could just walk to the middle of the quad and take a picture, and that's fine, but you're not going to get all the good information without going on an official visit. So first and foremost, I would say to do that. But ideally, you'll have a student tour guide of some type, and they're really there for you to ask questions. I mean, we can tell you things all day long, but we're not the ones currently experiencing the campus life. And so they're great people to ask, what do you do on the weekends? Or what does your typical day look like? Or, what classes are you taking right now? And what are they like? Because they can really tell you. I remember going on a college visit when I was in high school, and I asked the tour guide what they do on the weekends at that school. It was more of a rural school. And she said, well, nothing really, everybody just goes home. And that might be what you want, but I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this school's off my list, because she was just honest with me, thankfully, and told me. But that was important to me to know that there's going to be people around to hang out with on the weekends. So really ask your tour guides anything that might be important to you. Hopefully they will give you their honest experience. We certainly tell our student tour guides to give their honest experience, but they're really the only ones who can tell you their perspective on the campus culture for students, what is offered for students to do for fun, how do they get involved, what are the classes truly like. So don't feel like you need to hold back to ask those questions. And if you don't really feel comfortable doing it in the moment, you can always ask for an email address or a way to get in touch with folks after, or they may even have an Instagram you can send questions to try to make sure that you get the perspective that you're looking for.
Also, for Georgia State, make sure when you're on campus, you go to the plaza and you rub Pound's nose. That's our mascot. So we have this statue, and you go and you rub it for good luck. So we definitely encourage even prospective students to go and do it. But when you are on your tour, so outside the jokes, when you're in the tour, make sure that definitely talk to the students, to the tour guys giving you the tour. Ask all the questions academically, their experience, what they do outside the campus, why they pick Georgia State, or why they pick their school where they're going right now, depending on your campus tour. and definitely visit that building. So for example, if you are interested in film and arts, the CMII Institute at Georgia State, if you want to do sciences, if some of the lab sciences, you can visit as well. So there are different schools will have different visit opportunities, whether it is a small campus tour, a classroom visit, or open houses. So I will say it is okay to visit a school more than once. So you want to take different type of experiences when you go into those schools. So that will be my recommendation. And make sure if you visit that, yes, you stay in the dining hall, that you go and try the food, because if you go to that college, that'll be an important part, especially if you're going to be living on campus and maybe no access to a full kitchen. So.
Wow, to build off all that, I think so this is one, and this is actually, I did this with my little brother. So I didn't get to attend Georgia Tech. My little brother actually did, and we actually did this with him on his tour. I'm big into making sure that, like, I remember as his big brother, I was really big on, and I tell this on during the tours at Georgia Tech, I was like, go and check out the way student life is, right? Go into some of the libraries and see how the students collaborate. Because sometimes, especially Georgia Tech, you know, some students get intimidated because it's like research, you know, one of the big schools for STEM, but, or it's like very competitive. But like if you go into one of our libraries, you can just see the collaboration, students working together to solve issues. You will see students just randomly migrating together and just like saying like, how can we work together to either solve our homework together? But I think that's one of the biggest things, is finding the right culture that's for you. And you kind of do that by people watching, in essence, right? And so I did that with my little brother, and that's when he knew that Georgia Tech was right for him, because we were looking at 4 institutions. And then once he, you know, we kind of broke away from the tour, we went to, every school has a coffee shop, so we went to get a coffee, and then we started seeing where the students were going. And then that's when he decided like, this is the right fit for me. So that would be my little suggestion.
Well, you have all mentioned some great factors of fit. The one that we haven't really kind of talked about in depth, and there have been questions about this, is the academic fit, in terms of like the profile of the school and whether or not your stats fit that school. So just anything that you all want to weigh in on about GPAs, SAT scores, holistic review, you know, that kind of thing. Like, how can a student feel confident that applying to each of your institutions is something that works for them academically and that will make them successful?
So, I mean, every college for the most part will post some of those stats on their website, you know, typically like their middle 50% of their admitted student population. So what that means is it's basically like, this is the average profile of an average student that gets admitted to the school. There are going to be students above those numbers with higher GPAs and higher test scores, if test scores are required than that, and with lower as well. So that doesn't mean that if you don't quite fit those numbers, you can't get into that school. And it doesn't mean that if you're above those numbers, that's not a good school for you either. It just means that's an average. So I always think it's good for students when they're building their list. Everybody, you know, has a different number of schools they feel comfortable applying to, but you know, at least half of those I think should be schools where you kind of fit that middle range. You're somewhere in that range, or you're very close. That's a great place to start. It's also good to have, you know, a couple of schools that are considered a reach for you. Maybe they're pushing, they're a little bit above where you are, if that's out there, and maybe a couple that feel, you know, safe. Like, I feel pretty confident that I can get into this school. And the reason to do that is, you know, A, we want to get you some acceptances. We want to get you some really solid options. And B, we want you to push yourself a little bit as well. So there's nothing wrong with shooting for a school that you're not confident you're going to get into. But if you do, hey, now this is another great, really good option for me, very solid academic school. Let me start to look at if I feel comfortable in this environment as well. And maybe that's where the class visit does come in. A random piece of advice that I want to offer is that if a school is test optional, and you are considering whether or not to submit test scores, look at that at 50%, middle 50%. If you are significantly below that and it's test optional, you don't need to send your scores. You will not, in most cases, you can ask the school, but if they're test optional, they shouldn't be penalizing you for that. And so the reason I mentioned that, I see we already had a couple of questions about are test scores required, test scores optional. I think we're in different spaces on this call. Oglethorpe, for example, is test optional at this point. We will not penalize you at all for not sending your scores. But if you do send them, we're going to use them. And if they're lower than what we are hoping for, that could hurt you. Whereas if you just didn't send them at all, it wouldn't hurt you. So do look at those average numbers and consider, hey, does this put me at an advantage to send my test scores, or would this put me at a disadvantage? You can always ask the admission representatives also, but that's just a random thing I want to throw out there. Don't hurt your chances by doing something that is not required of you.
So for Georgia State, we were just announced, or given the, we were just announced that's optional for fall about a couple of weeks ago. Before that, we were requiring the SAT and ACT, and the TAS optional admissions is only for fall 2022. So one for any sophomores or juniors in the call today, please make sure that once you're ready to apply to the university that you check again what are the admission requirements. For any seniors, you can definitely go ahead and apply as a TAS optional. Going back to what Kelly said, she could have said better on the 50 percentile, the averages, that's just, it's just an average. So it just means that we still have some students above and below that getting accepted. So there is not a specific minimum GPA at Georgia State. But definitely go to the admissions website. I know some schools, for example, they have an admissions calculator. That's where you can enter your GPA and you have scores, and it will give you the probability of getting accepted at the institution. And again, if you don't know, I mean, they offer regular decision or early action, because some schools are going to offer that. If they have different deadlines, make sure that you contact your admissions counselor. This is what we're here for, to answer all the questions. So not only about the experience of the university, but also very important about meeting the requirements.
And I'll just add for Spelman in particular, so we do operate on a holistic review process, a holistic approach to our review process. So we do not have a minimum GPA requirement for admissions consideration. And at this time, we are test optional. With that being said, if there are any rising juniors, rising seniors, rising sophomores, for example, we have not made a final decision about how we will assess standardized testing moving forward in our process, but fingers crossed we can have that decision finalized by the end of the spring. I also want to note, when it comes to the college application process and ultimately preparing to apply to your colleges or universities of choice, I strongly encourage you to make sure that your list of colleges that you're considering, that you have a genuine interest in them. And I say that you may have 5 colleges, for example, and there may be one that is standing out amongst the other 4, and that's okay. But you want to make sure your list includes colleges or universities that you have an interest in. I'll just leave that there. I want to encourage you to not fill up your list of colleges with colleges that you are just applying to just because. You want to have a connection to those colleges or universities. You want to ensure that if you're admitted, we're hoping for several admittances, but you want to ensure that if you're admitted, that you feel good about that admittance and that it isn't just a college that you're checking off your list to apply to. So that's my insight. Spelman is holistic. We are currently test optional, but really be intentional about your list of colleges and selecting colleges that you have an interest in.
Yeah, if I can add anything to all the great comments that all my colleagues have said, and so I'll share a little bit about tech in the sense that, you know, we don't shy away from saying this. We are a highly selective, holistic, you know, institution. And what we mean by highly selective, and I always like to tell this during, you know, when we have campus tours, and if I have to present, I always tell students and parents is that what that means is that we only have a certain amount of space but we have so many applications. So because of that, we have to be super selective. And so that's why we go through a holistic approach. So institutions like ourselves, where, you know, similar to Spelman, we don't have a minimum GPA, and we don't really have a minimum, you know, SAT or SAT aside from what the University System of Georgia requires. But we look at so many things. So if you're looking at institutions that are highly selective and holistic, make sure you do the research to understand what are the things that they're looking for. And going to campus tours is the best way, or reaching out to an admissions counselor is the best way to find out what is it that the institution is looking for. So when we talk to students about Georgia Tech, we look at your contributions to communities. What are things that you have done outside of the classroom? Being that we are a STEM school, like we don't, like our first math is calculus. So we're trying to see, like, you know, what is that rigor that you took at your school? So we look at your school opportunities, like what were the math courses that were afforded to you at your institution, and then we, you know, that goes into consideration as well. Your essays. So, you know, make sure that you you have a list of schools that, you know, as my colleagues have mentioned, match your interests, like what you want to study for. Make sure that it is an institutional fit for you, to be able to say, like, this is where I want to study, this is where I feel if I go here, this is where I will feel right at home. But also being aware that, like, you know, if you're only shooting for highly selective institutions, you know, it's a reason why the admittance rate for our institutions are kind of on the slimmer side, just because we have a larger volume. So just make sure that when you're looking at colleges, have a variety of different institutions and universities that you are applying that have the majors that you would like to study for.
This is all really great advice. I'd like to ask, you know, you're all giving really good advice. What are some missteps that you have seen, some like mistakes that you see prospective applicants making throughout the process, maybe when they're just starting to look for a college, or even at that last minute of like applying, or even the last minute of like you've already applied and then making a decision whether or not to come? What kind of mistakes do you see as an admissions officer? And if there's any specific things about Atlanta in that, that would be awesome.
So I'll start. This one constantly comes to mind for me, and I think it's just a testament to some of the applications I reviewed this past application cycle. So what I will say is that remember that, again, the college search process is a personal process. You're trying to find your personal fit. And so in order for colleges and universities to make a well-rounded decision about your admissibility, we need all pieces of the puzzle. We need to know, for the most part, everything we can possibly know about your potential as a prospective student. And so one mistake I find that many students make is that they are not giving themselves enough time to develop a very well-rounded application file, and that they are not including information that will help our committee make a holistic, well-rounded decision. So if a student submits an application and the recommender tells us the amazing things that that student participated in high school, but the student did not submit any list of activities in the common application, there's a disconnect. So I do find that students often make the mistake of just not being advocates, self-advocates for themselves, but also just not telling the full story of who they are as a person and a prospective student. So I like to tell students, brag on yourself in the application, tell us everything you've done outside of the classroom. Your GPA is going to tell us one portion of who you are and your potential to thrive in our community, but it's your personal character, your personal values, some of those unique characteristics that we need you to tell through the essay or through your list of activities. So don't shortchange yourself in this process.
I would say, I mean, that's all totally true. And there's a million things I could say learning from my own experience as well. But, you know, one thing also talking about like Atlanta locations and different things, universities, students not taking into account what they need, but being more concerned with the name of the college or what their, you know, the ones that their teachers recommended or whatever. I mean, it's important to listen to other people because, you know, we learn from others. But I know, especially thinking about myself when I was in high school, thinking, you know, I'm going to apply to these 5 colleges. I don't know anything about them. I've never been there. I have no concept of what they are like, but they have names that I've heard of, and it sounds really cool, and people will be impressed if I got in there. So what? That doesn't have anything to do with the next 4 years of your life and what the fit is going to be and how it aligns with your long-term goals and all of these different types of things. So, I think it's important to, I know you guys are so busy and you have so much going on, and I really empathize with that. But giving yourself the time to sit down and think through, what do I need from this college? What are they going to be able to give me that's going to help me succeed with my long-term goals and make the memories that I want, have the experiences that I want? And then research what universities have that and can give you that for a price that you can afford and a place that you can get into, versus just, I know that people would be impressed with me if I got into this college with this name, for example. So I think people do themselves a disservice when they do that. And it may be that, we're hearing from them 2 years later when they're wanting to transfer out of that school because it's not a good fit, because they chose it for reasons that didn't really make sense when they looked back on it. A practical thing, similar to what Nayada said, was give yourself time for the essay, please. I have students that I know are very smart because I'm looking at their transcript and I'm seeing all the cool things they're doing, the letters of recommendation, and they got major typos in their essay and they're spelling things wrong. And I know that they, are capable of more. But that just either leads me to believe that, they're not ready for college because they're not ready to put the time in there, or that they just didn't really care very much about it. And neither of those things are very good for a college application. So please do dedicate some time to all processes of the application. I know it's hard, but it's the one time you're actually going to have to do it unless you go to grad school. So sit down, put the time into it. Ask someone else to read it. If you have a parent that you can ask, or even if you don't feel like they necessarily are the best person to read it either. Do you have a teacher? Do you even just have, an older sibling or a counselor? Anybody? I've read students' applications for scholarships, for example. I mean, it's not really right for me to read their Oglethorpe application before they submit it. But if they're applying for a scholarship and they want to ask me to read it, I've done that before. I'm happy to do that. So I wouldn't speak for anyone else, but somebody will be willing to read this college application for you. So please try to get a second set of eyes on it as well before you submit.
I'll say this is not related with Atlanta, Laura, but I'll say for parents, I applaud you to be there for the process, be a partner. Do not take over the process, the college admissions process for your students. Just last week, I had a parent reaching out to me like, can you please change the name on the letter because he has my name. When I go to the application, the parent put their name on the application. So all this time we have been sending communication intended to the parents. So please make sure, be a partner, don't take over the process. It can really affect the college admissions process for the student moving forward. So I just wanted to share that because I know we all want to be super involved. I'm the mom of 3 kids, so I want to know what they're doing, how they're going to be applying for college eventually. But I also understand that they need to embrace that process as well.
Yeah, and just to share, two things that I will say, like as a parent, I encourage other parents to get involved with the process. Don't just assume your children have figured it out, go with them on the tours, ask questions for them sometimes, but also let them flourish, let your child flourish and enjoy this process. Because it is a beautiful process, and finding out a place where your child's going to invest and learn and be the best they can be. But I want to add one thing. I would say, and it's not so much like a mistake, but so give you all context, this past year, Georgia Tech, we had over 50,000 students apply, and we've read every single application and every story. So I always say to students, to learn how to write your story on paper, right? I always say every student has a unique story to them, but sometimes writing that narrative and that story on a piece of paper is sometimes very challenging. And speaking for, I'm a first generation student, it's sometimes very intimidating to put, your reality and who you are on paper. So ask for help on learning how to share that narrative, because So on the college admission side, that's probably the only time. That's your one time to tell us who you are when we're making this decision. And so the better way, the better that you can tell your story, the better it helps us to be able to learn who you are when we're making these decisions.
And I will just add, as a admissions adjacent platform that encourages students to tell their story, a lot of knowing what you need in a college requires a whole nother step before, which is self-reflection. And so, I think a lot of people go into this process without having done that piece of self-reflection early enough, so that you're just kind of piecing together a story and really trying and not figuring out what you want to advocate for yourself. And I love how Nayada put that. You do want to advocate yourself, where each piece of what you're including is something that when these colleagues of mine are sitting in committee, that little piece is advocating for yourself. It's your voice in the room. And while you cannot be in the room with them when they're reviewing your application, everything about your application should be speaking to them. And so, but you can't do that unless you start asking questions earlier. So definitely spend some time, I think, asking yourself, what do I like? Who am I? What am I good at? And then asking your friends and your teachers, like, what do you think of when you think of me? What do you see when you watch me? That kind of thing. That's my little added piece to this session. So we are running up to the hour, and I really appreciate all of you sticking with us during this time. I wanted to end with, any parting words from each of you in terms of advice or excitement about Atlanta, or just thoughts about, the process in kind of crazy times. So any parting words before we end tonight?
Just bringing it back to the topic of Atlanta, I think we are blessed to live here. I would say, try to be objective when you're looking at colleges. I know some students will be like, I'm from here, I got to get out. And that's valid, right? But, take a step back and think, is that just me ready to graduate high school and get out of my parents' house? Or is that the real decision that I want to make? Is this city, does it have the things that I'm looking for? Am I able to take advantage of those things right here in my backyard? Is it actually a great fit for me to branch out and try something new in the city while also being close to home? So, maybe it is, maybe it's not. That's for you to decide. But I do want to encourage you to, try to look at it with some fresh eyes. Take a look at what's available to you in your backyard. Maybe start there. See if any of these schools here or others within the city could, start out your list, and you can, of course, branch out and see what else is available as well. But it's a great place to start. And hey, just like Gloria mentioned, it's very convenient. So feel free to give all of us a try. I'm sure we would love it. Look us up, email us. I think our contact information will be available later on. So we would love to talk with you more. And we're really glad that we got to see you tonight.
And I'll just add, keep an open mind throughout the process. Again, we've talked about fit, and remember that the college search process is about mutual fit. So just as much as our colleges and universities, we are looking for students that ultimately align with our mission, our institutional values. You are looking for a college that you feel like could be your home away from home, even if that's 10 minutes away from home, but your home away from home. So be open-minded in this process, pay attention to your personal interests, and ultimately keep yourself at the center of your college search process as well. And don't discount Atlanta. There are lots of amazing institutions in the city of Atlanta.
I would say enjoy every step of the process. It can be overwhelming, but enjoy it only once you apply for college. And definitely celebrate even the small victories. Celebrate when you made that application. Celebrate when you receive those decisions. Even if you don't get your first choice acceptance, you get others. Celebrate each of them, because not everyone has that access to higher education and to apply for colleges. So therefore, enjoy it and make that a family celebration as well.
Yeah, and just to add to the whole college application process, don't be scared and ask questions along the way. It's not it's intimidating. It might seem intimidating. It's not. Just ask questions. That's why we're here on this side to help you along the way. So ask the questions, and even if you think they sound dumb, I'm telling you they're not. Ask them anyway. So that's my parting advice.
Well, this has been a delightful conversation. I really appreciate you all taking time out of your busy schedules in the evening to spend with us doing this session. For all the people who came and listened, we're really grateful that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to learn more about the process. I know that each of these admissions officers would love to hear from you, would love to direct you to very specific pieces of resource, for you to understand their campuses better, their students better, at how to connect. So definitely take advantage of that. Reach out to each of them, especially if you have a specific question about their programs, or what makes campus especially special. And we would love to keep in touch. So definitely reach out if you have more questions. We have lots of other videos on our platform as well if you want to learn more about the holistic review process of many, many colleges. Thank you so much and have a great evening, everyone. Take care. Bye.